I now invite a panel session. The panel discussion is the CPO panel, effectively leading in a post-pandemic environment. Welcome to the stage Lucy Charmy, Chief Procurement Officer from Vitex Pharmaceuticals, Siju Johnny, former Chief Procurement Officer at Transgrid, Tony Satera, General Manager of Procurement Australia Post, who will be joining us virtually from Melbourne, and Chair Malcom Harrison. Thank you.
Yeah, come and have a seat. Come and see. Great, Sharon. Thanks, Sharon. Great, and hey, Yemi, that was a great session. Thank you very much. I mean, I've got my takeaways. You've got to hear this shit. It's so good. And then we get into a discussion about toilet roll supply chains. Okay, so look, this session is really to get a chance to talk about the impact on CPOs of leading in a post-pandemic environment. Great to be able to be joined today by Lucy and Siju, and we've got Tony on the screen. Hopefully, we're going to see Tony on the screen in a minute. So look, you've all come from really quite different organisations and sectors. Perhaps we can start by just give us a minute on you and a bit of the context about the specific challenges that you've had to deal with in terms of the pandemic. Lucy.
Sure. So my name is Lucy. I'm the CPO at Vitex Pharmaceuticals. We are a contract manufacturer of complementary medicines, the largest in the Southern Hemisphere. Vitex has been around for somewhat 30 years, and like Yemi, I think she's my long-lost sister. I've got some passion and drive in me. So if I'm, really excited, it stems from that. It's a family-owned and operated business. My father being the chairman, my brother the CEO, and myself being the CPO. And of course, I have other siblings. So in terms of what's driven, sort of the challenges and everything that's happened in our neck of the woods, I'd put it down to two main factors. We've struggled immensely with the logistics, crisis. So there's been a lot of issues with, logistics and transport. And then we come down to labour. We're a very labour-intensive organisation. We rely on people more than you will ever know. And the Omicron wave in January completely threw us out of sorts. It wasn't something that we had anticipated coming from 2020 and going through 2021. Starting 2022 was probably it has financially on record been the worst month of our business. But we had so much to pick up and learn from, and from every disruption you get challenges. You are thrown into a position to break the status quo, and that's essentially what we're doing now and what we're building, and there's a lot to share, and it's very exciting.
So logistics and labour, your big two challenges. Okay, yeah. Great. Siju.
All right, I think we'll go into the construction and infrastructure side. I would say the biggest challenge was the organizational-wide realization is there's an existence of procurement department. That was the number one realization they had immediately, when the pandemic hit. We immediately created something called, I would say, the COVID squad to actually deal with all the challenges that you're going to face. And other than the people-related matters, the only other topic was supply chain and procurement. I would say our biggest challenge was, we all know Australia is a consumer market. We buy most of the stuff, which is again a massive challenge when you have border closures. Theoretically, nothing comes in. So from a construction side, the materials was a massive challenge. We had to find alternative supply chain solutions to start off with. But if you look at the sequence of how this all happened, it came out of China, which is one of our biggest market, where we buy almost 60% of our materials from. We were immediately asked to actually have an alternative supply chain solution. And the only other options we had was actually Europe. Most of you in this room would know it literally means a 20 to 30% hike in the price of the total project and the cost that is associated with the customer projects that you normally deliver. Again, as a business, most of them were only talking about that's the responsibility of procurement. You are the one who negotiates. So that's a challenge that you need to kind of deal with, kind of an attitude. Again, I think that was the realization period. And I would say the stage, as we stage further progressed to the pandemic, I think it came to a reality of the fact that this is not something just procure but could actually manage. It requires wider attention, not only from the management, but also from the boards or whatever organizational structure each one of you have. So for us, the number one was that. Second was labor. Again, construction industry, if you look at Sydney or New South Wales as an example, everywhere there's infrastructure, projects that's happening. And one of the biggest things that we all lack is the lack of labor and the lack of right skilled labor. There is no easy solution to that as well. So obviously what I've seen personally is a lot of companies coming together with consortiums and other offerings so that they can deliver the project and stay on time. Because most of the projects that Transcode used to deliver is either public funded or state funded or private funded, which actually obviously have to pay back interest. So I would say the key areas for us was actually number one was the materials, the second was the labor.
Materials and labour. Okay, and Tony, virtually, so what have been the biggest challenges for you and your supply chains?
With a supplier in Brisbane who were hit so hard by the floods, and for 2 weeks I was out of
and try to assemble it here as a starting point. That's one of the things that we try to do. But at the same time, us personally actually started working with state government, where they were actually obviously supporting, because jobs were getting lost left, right, and center, and they were actually initially supporting these sort of initiatives where you're trying to develop a framework or infrastructure where you can make those products locally. And there was a lot of support from the state government at that level as well. So the long-term solution that I believe in this particular space is have more importance of local products. Yes, sometimes it can be expensive in certain areas, but it's all come down to that social economic benefit. You spend the money in the local economy. As far as it's an Australian company, the money stays within the country. So the benefit will actually kind of circle around. So that's what we thought.
Okay. I think we're about to get on to this whole discussion about local supply, and I think we all buy the concept, but sometimes the reality is a little bit more challenging. And switching supply is not always straightforward. Everybody says let's bring things closer to home, and I guess particularly in this part of the world, you've got vast distances, vast acreages of land, but actually it's pretty sparsely populated. And I think that brings some particular challenges here, which perhaps don't lend themselves to sort of quick alternatives. And I guess what I'm interested in to hear from you, and we'll start with you on this one, Suju, is what are your more long-term strategies on how do you tackle some of those sourcing challenges?
So I think the long-term strategy, it's like the buying power in this room, just to give an example. So most of the procurement people or the CPOs or whoever, whatever role you're actually doing in your own organization, have a view of like, if we put together this many people, you're talking about quite a reasonable amount of spend. So in terms of, there are two ways of doing it. One is actually within an organization level, which each one of us are the best one to actually understand and do. I believe, Malcolm, actually, there is a guiding opportunity that CIPS actually have in this particular space as well. Like, what I'm trying to say is bringing people together and then having a common understanding of, hey, this is the industry that you belong to. These are some of the approaches you can take. Who all wants to join back?
So don't try and solve it all on your own.
No, it is impossible to actually, as you clearly said, we are in the middle of nowhere in terms of, in terms of a location. And as I clearly mentioned in the beginning, we are a consumer market. So this is a long-term approach that we need to have, but someone needs to start it. We all talk about this blue sky approach. Okay, you can do this way, that way, but someone needs to start it. And I think this is a classic case where we can actually start off that activity.
Okay, great. Tony, what are Australia
communication.
Until you're not serving your customers.
Exactly. So, and they're experiencing what you're actually kind of bringing in, kind of a view. So, for us, we were right at the verge of actually going live with a system which we actually implemented right at the time when the pandemic happened. 6 months down to the pandemic, we went live with what we call internally as iBuy, which is actually a procurement system. The word iBuy standard for empowering you to buy, so you buy, that's iBuy. So, but end of the day, I would say that really helped us to actually sell, digitalizing or automating the process side of procurement. But I would say no systems out there can actually digitalize the relationship side of procurement. So that always exists. But for us, from a digitalizing procurement perspective, reasonably great experience. The other one, I think most of us get used to it. Today, there's no such word called 5 days of office, I believe. For most of us, it's hybrid. Yep. So I think that's the way it'll be going future as well.
I'm sure that's right. And Lucy, how about in your world?
Yeah, my comments
Make sure we keep it on schedule for the agenda. So look, CPOs, I guess, through this pandemic have had a spotlight put on them like they've never had before. Last question from me to you. What is it that you, as a CPO, want to be known for in your business, Lucy?
That I'm just as important as the COO, if not better.
Okay, that sounds like a good place to start. How about you, Siju?
Look, I think this is something which has been told many occasions. I would definitely like to be called chief, not the title, but in essence, the innovation officer level, but without taking away the CIO title, because I don't think most of the head of ITs will love it. But it is the innovation bit, I would say, for the future that makes procurement going to be different. Like, strategy can be still coming under that innovation. So always that business improvement department, we always look for that better opportunities, better way of doing things. So we need to come up with a different name for innovation so that we can have a abbreviation as well, but Chief Innovations Officer.
Just God.
Yeah.
Be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for. I remember that I once ended up, somebody actually gave me a job of Group Operations Director and then realised what that stood for. And Tony, how about you?
For me, it's we've got a strong sense of community, and for me, it's